Hi guys, hi my peoples, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. My name is Nabz Arah. If you're new here, click down below and join the community. So as you've seen by the title, my time in Burundi has finally elapsed, and it's time for me to sit down and tell you my experiences and culture shocks. I want to say though before, I want to point out two things. The first thing is, if you're watching this video and you're wondering if there is anything for you to see in Burundi, I'm here to tell you that yes, there is. Even though I spent there such a short time, I didn't do much, but there is really a lot for you to see, because I believe that a country is made up of people, their way of life. If there are no other big things that you think you see in other countries, at least go and experience the way of life of the people. I feel like people travel for different reasons, but if your main reason is to go there, see how people live in that country, see their lifestyle, interact with the locals, and I believe people is such a huge reason for traveling. So yes, there is something for you to see. I'm saying this because when I was posting on Instagram, I made a few posts of my Burundi trip before I started putting up the videos, and someone asked me in the comment section, Burundi, what's there for you to show us in Burundi? And I was just like, really? Each country has something to offer. I want all of us to put that in mind. So yes, definitely go and check out Burundi. The second point is, this was my second time going. The first time I went was in 2011. I was a teen. I was guarded from all the experiences, I should say, all the culture shocks I experienced this time, because as well as under supervision, we slept at hotels. Everyone we met, especially at hotels, it was easy to communicate with them because they spoke English. The only culture shock I remember experiencing then was the language barrier between the fellow teens I met that were from Burundi, because we couldn't communicate. But I think even up to now, if you go to visit a country and you choose to stay like in hotels, which is okay depending on why you're visiting. Some people visit for vacation, they just want calm, quietness, little energy activities, so they don't really care about walking through the busy streets and seeing what the people are like and all that. Then hotels would be good for you. But if you're coming to see the way of life of the people, you just want to experience what it feels like to be in a country, you could still sleep at a hotel, but then like find a way of getting out and mixing with the people. But if you just sleep at the hotel, use private means, you're shielded. I know I was shielded because we were using private means. At a hotel, I didn't experience much or any of these things. I didn't see the struggle until I went back and I had to figure out everything by myself. Also, my reasons of traveling are really to experience the way of life of people. So I like to use the public transport. I like to go to markets, taxi parks or bus parks. Like just go there where the actual people are and get the feel of what it feels like to be in that country. Anyways, let's get into my culture shocks from Burundi. Yeah. So my first point is the language barrier. Of course, the language barrier was a culture shock then in 2011, and it was even this time around. So Burundi is a French-speaking country. I hope we all know. I don't know the name of their local language, but the friend I was with from Rwanda told us it is similar to Kinyarwanda, so they could speak and hear each other. And yeah, it was worse, should I say. It was that one time where I felt like, not just me, everyone I was with, we felt like our lives depended on someone else, because they had to translate every single thing. Everyone we are communicating to, they'd be like, we'll just be looking at Martha like, Martha, what has he said? Then Martha translates. Then you're like, tell him this, and this. She speaks. What has he said? Guys, it was like, I didn't even know I would need a translator until I was there. it was that bad. We didn't know. And I just keep imagining, what if we didn't travel with Martha? Because we didn't know Martha's plans. We just went to Rwanda. And then when we were going to Burundi, she tells us she also has plans of going to Burundi. So we choose to go with her. What if she didn't have those plans? What were we going to do? Guys, I'm talking, it was extreme. The menus were in French. Yo, like, you see how you starve, and the people in the restaurants will speak to them in English. We were not getting each other. They'll speak to us in French. Just know we were not getting each other. I want to say though that if we had internet connection, I think you just translate the menu and then point at what you want. I think you could use Google Translate to type in an English message, then they tell you the French message, and then you show it or play it for the person you want to communicate to. I think that would be a way of getting along. We would have done that, but our trip was so quick. We're just basically going through. We didn't even bother getting local SIM cards and all that. But yeah, the other thing about language, when I visited Kenya, people kept saying people in Rwanda and Burundi speak Swahili and all that. And in Rwanda, I didn't hear anyone openly speaking Swahili. Maybe if I talk to them, they would know me speaking like an lot of Swahili. But anyways, in Burundi, there was a time when we got into a bus, and the people that know the language were seated way at the back. I was at the front, plus I had all the money on me, so I had to pay for everyone. I didn't know how much we were paying, but from the time I got there, I noticed the conductors were calling people and speaking openly in Swahili, which made me realize, okay, so if you know a bit of Swahili, you will not completely get stuck. You can communicate with these people. So when it was time to pay, I had to gather all the Swahili I know. I just looked at him and I was like, ngapi? And he told me, and then we paid. I felt so proud of myself. I was just like, oh, so if I learn Swahili, it will save me in all these scenarios. But I really loved that about them. Yes. I noticed that in Burundi, you'll spot more bicycles in the city and in the suburbs. And why do I put it as a culture shock? There was a time in Uganda where bicycles were that common, like bicycles to be used as a means of transporting people, transporting luggage, and those years kind of faded away, even in bigger towns, cities, suburbs, but there it's still a thing. So if you're looking for transportation and you see someone on a bicycle, yes, they can take you. Yeah, the money, the biggest note is 10,000. Guys, coming from Uganda, where the biggest note is 50,000. Can you imagine? Every time I go to these countries, I just get so confused. I'm just like, 10,000 is the biggest, like. So their biggest note is 10,000. The smallest is 500. I believe I've not made a mistake. I'll put the photo on the screen, and they have a few coins. I don't think I got to hold any coins while there, but yeah, imagine their biggest note is 10,000. Their money has more value. When we just got in, we kept thinking that their money is so close to our money, but when you compare it to the dollar rate, when we were there, we saw the forex, it was 2,900. Ours is 3,800. So clearly, the money has more value. The other thing, they also keep right on the road, just like Rwanda. It's being in the bus on those meandering roads, and they're on the right, and there is a car coming the other side. I just kept thinking we're about to knock. But they keep right. Yes, they keep right. They keep right on the road. When they're driving, they keep right. Put that in your mind. When you reach there, your mind will be confused, especially if you're from Uganda, Kenya, where we keep left. But yeah, they keep right on the road. The other thing that just shocked me, I didn't even know this. Oh, this is the good thing of traveling with someone. When we go to the border, you don't just get in. You know how they ask you, where are you going? What are you going to do? And then you get in. That's what happens at Kenya border. That's what happened at the Rwanda border. Here, they'll be like, who are you going to see? Who is receiving you? Can I have their phone number? They don't just write down the phone number for record's sake. They call the person. We didn't until we got at the border. We were only saved by Martha, because now Martha's friend who was expecting Martha had said that we can also go and she hosts us instead of us spending on a hotel or Airbnb. So then now she became the person receiving us. So they called her. And if they call this person, make sure this person knows your full names. They know that you're coming, that time they're expecting you. Like, they know all these important details about you, because they'll just kind of put them through an investigation, an interrogation, kind of, to know that they are the people that are expecting you. Now, when we are there, we noticed two things. I don't know if it's true or not, but my friend said that they were majorly doing it for people from Rwanda, but they also asked us. So I don't know. I think it's a common thing. I really don't know. Also, the other thing, when I shared this on my Instagram, people were curious and they're like, oh, so how does that work? What if I don't know anyone there? I think if we didn't go with Martha, we had an Airbnb host. We're obviously going to give his number, and I think he'll be the person they call. So if you have a hotel booking, Airbnb, that can be the person receiving you, and that can be the person they call. Also, I don't know if this happens when you fly in. When I first went there, we flew in, but like I said, I was guarded and protected. I didn't deal with any immigration. The person who was leading our team would just go, do the thing, and then we leave. So I don't remember. But when you fly in, does this happen? Do they ask you for the person's number to call them? If you've ever flew in and you have experience, leave a comment down below so that we all learn. The buses, or matatus, or should I, in Uganda we call them taxis, in Kenya they are matatus. I don't really know what they call them there, but they park excess. According to us here in Uganda, that is excess. So you know the taxis, the minivans, they sit 3 people per row. In Burundi, they sit 4 per row. It is even, like, no one even looks at it like it's strange. In Kampala, if you park 4 people, everyone is going to look at you like, why are you putting in excess? So especially in Kampala, in the city center, that's how people sit. The suburbs, the only place where you'll find people parking excess are places that are further away from the city, where there are less cars and they just have to park excess so that everyone can get a seat. But here, it was in Bujumbura, in the city. They literally, you sit, that car space that is left, they have a car, like a wooden kind of small seat. I'm going to insert a photo. They place it there in between, and four people per row. And then in the buses that are bigger, it sits 4 people per row. They put 5. There's nowhere all like this in the buses. I'm just like, it's the norm. It's the norm. If you go there and use in public means, be ready for that. The other thing, the socket types. So the socket types, I think that's the European type. There was some research I was doing, and I saw that European countries have that type of socket. I'm going to put a photo here. If that's not the socket that is common in your country, you're going to have to take an extension. It's the only way you'll be able to use your 3 plug cables. Yeah, that shocked us. We're just like, we didn't expect this, but that's the beauty of traveling. You expect some things you don't expect, but you still find and learn about them, and they're added to your experiences, and you find a way of getting along with them. So a few of the other things that are culture shocks, the networks that we're using, they are completely new. You know how we've been used that in East Africa we have MTN, Airtel, and they're quite, at least if you go to a country, at least if they don't have MTN, they'll have Airtel, or they have MTN. Like a few of the countries I've been to, even Rwanda had MTN Rwanda. In Burundi, there's no MTN. There was Echo something. And then Lumitel were just like, at one point, our host gave us a SIM card, a local SIM card for us to use to get in touch with her when we're in town. We could not even buy data, airtime. When we finally got a chance to load airtime, it was hard for us to buy minutes to call, so just call within a few minutes, the airtime is done, and then like it was hard to get around because it's not like the thing that you're used to. And to make matters worse, our friend that was translating would communicate with these people, like maybe the person of Lumitel who's loading first airtime, and try to tell her, I want to buy like minutes so that I can call, or I want to buy data, even though they both spoke French and that local language that is similar. At that point, that's why they stopped understanding each other. So even though we had a local SIM card, we could not access data to make these translations, to follow Google Maps. That's how we ended up getting lost in the country, in the city. Yo, travel just opens up so much for you. My other culture shock, guys, they have mini taxis, like they're like P.O Box. I think that's the name of that car, P.O Box. That's what they use, like taxis to carry people, because those were like the private taxis we kept getting. And I don't know how many people does a P.O Box carry, because there it has to carry 4. More than 4 is excess, of which we felt it, because when we sat there, 4 people behind and 1 person at the front, we felt like we're squeezing each other. So that was an issue. And I just don't know, is that how it is here in Uganda? When a P.O Box carries 5 people, that's excess. So we couldn't pass by the police because we were excess. So every time we got to a stop, if you watched my last video, the previous video actually, my last day in Burundi as we traveled back to Kigali, you would see that every time we would be nearing a police stop, one of us would get on a border so that we don't get any of those issues. But there is another point. This point has a shock and a similarity, because policemen here, traffic policemen, they are used to getting some cash out of you if you're in wrong. If you're overspeeding, if you give them something, they leave you. There though, whether you're in wrong or not, yes, all the policemen took money, but now the difference here is that whether you're in wrong or not, at every stop, the driver had to pay some money. And we kept wondering, why are you paying? It's like, yeah, they expect it, and it's like for me to stay in good terms with them and all that. You'd think that he would leave the 5th person there so that we are excess, and then when he gets there, he pays them because we are excess. No. He would remove 1 person, and so to the eyes of the officer, he's not in any wrong, but at every stop, he would have to pay some money. I felt like that was so strange. I kept wondering, how much money is this guy going to save from this trip? Because it was a whole long journey from Bujumbura to Kanyaru, the border of Rwanda and Burundi, and we made over 6 or even 8 police stops, and at each point he gave something. But he says it's expected, like when you pass, if you're driving, you pass a police person, you give. I want to know more about that in the comment section if you have any experience, so that if people go there and they're going to drive, or they're going to use private means, they know what to expect. So I want to, after I'm done with the culture shocks, I want to talk about the similarities, because this is the country where I went and felt like we have quite a bit in common. Even my friends felt it, that I traveled with. They kept saying, I feel like I'm in Uganda. If it wasn't for the language barrier, it would feel like I'm in Uganda. Also, if it wasn't for all the hills, because Bujumbura is so beautifully surrounded by the hills of Burundi. It is so beautiful. But the feeling of being there, for example, in the bus park, or should I say taxi park, you'd find vendors down on the street selling fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, such things. That is common here in Kampala. If you go in the old taxi park, you're going to find people down selling fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and that was a common thing. So when we saw it, we were just like, this is like home. The second thing would be the motorbikes. They carry excess people. They carry from 2, 3. When we were using motorbikes to go to the beach, they carried 2 of us, and one of the motorbike got spoiled, so we had now to sit 3. So just like here in Uganda, you sit, no one is going to say a thing, and they don't wear helmets. But as in Uganda, the motorbike guy has a helmet, of which that has been enforced maybe like the past 3 years. Before, even the border guy would not have a helmet, but now most border guys, or like the biggest percentage, have their own helmets, but they don't have passenger helmets. Even safe border guys used to have 2 helmets. Most of them these days don't even have 2 helmets. So yeah, it's not like Rwanda whereby each passenger has a helmet and the borders carry only 1 person. No, in Burundi, just like here in Uganda, you can sit 2, 3, 4 if you can fit. That was a similarity between there and here. The other thing would be how the money spreads in the country. So we noticed we had notes of like 2022. It's the same thing in Uganda. The money is, I don't know how they call that process, but like new notes are being used earlier on. While when in Rwanda, you notice that the newest note you have is like for 2014, 2015. I don't know how they call that. If you know that, if you know that that term used to call that, you can put it on the screen. But yeah, what else? What else? The fresh food, the fresh fruits. There's so many markets. It's just like in Uganda. Like when you go through the city, you're going to find so many streets, so many like street markets, and there is a lot of fresh fruits and fresh foods but being sold on the streets. We noticed that in Bujumbura, like you be walking, you pass the park, there are people selling, then you go on another street, you'll find other people selling, and that's just how the thing is here in Kampala. You find a busy road, people just randomly put their fruits, vegetables, and be selling them. I think those are the similarities. I would say also there are beaches like our beach. We do not have white sand like you guys in Kenya. We don't have white sand. We do not have, the water seemed kind of blue, but when we got close it wasn't blue. Anyways, yeah, the beaches are like our beaches. The beaches on Lake Tanganyika look like the beaches we have on Lake Victoria. So really there is quite a bit of similarity. If you get there, you'll have the Ugandan feel until you try to speak to someone and they'll... Yeah, I think that's it. So my trip from Bujumbura ended. We traveled back to Kigali like you guys saw in the previous video. We stayed in Kigali for like 2 days while we were resting and then traveled back to Kampala. I do not have that vlog because usually when my trip is ending, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. The last thing I want to do is vlog. So I don't have that vlog. But yeah, we'll come back from Rwanda and Burundi vlogs. We are now going to do a bit of vlogs around Uganda as I'm planning my next trip. So stay tuned. Thank you so much guys for watching. I appreciate the love and the support. Keep sharing the channel. Let's subscribe. Let's grow to 20k before the year ends. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you in another one. Bye.